Good morning and welcome to my first flight with the DJI Mavic 3 Classic. And the purpose of this video is, as it is usually when we are out recording, is to capture some reference footage for you, as well as some photos. We're going to take full advantage in these beautiful surroundings of this new, really powerful Micro Four Thirds sensor at 20 megapixel. So this is the first flight with the DJI Mavic 3 Classic. And I've picked this location because it's very, very beautiful. This is called the North Harbor of Helsingør. And right now we are recording in 5.1K, 30 frames per second. And while we're doing this, I want to show you a very, very nice feature that DJI has introduced with this. I guess it will be available for all the Mavic 3 owners. But that's cruise control, and that is exactly what you think it is. It's when I push the sticks in one direction and I simply press this button, I can enable cruise control, and then I can let go of the sticks, and then it will simply just continue to do the motion that it was doing when I pressed the C2 control custom button. So I can take it out of there. So that's a very nice feature. Battery life on this drone is amazing. So is the weather this morning. Let me just show you the sunrise here with a nice castle in the background. So if I press this icon up here, you can see that I have 25 minutes until the battery is fully depleted. I guess it was not a full battery when I started out. So the theoretical flight time of this drone is 46 minutes. You can see it's changing when I'm moving around with the drone. So I guess it's dynamically measuring whatever is available, the power level that is available. So the Mavic 3 Classic is the third drone that is released in the Mavic 3 series. I don't know the prices at the current state, but according to DJI, the price should be around the same level as the Mavic 2 Pro. So it should be a very, very nice substitute for the Mavic 2 Pro if you want to consider upgrading from that one. And another really, really important fact that you need to know about this drone is that it's actually the first C1 labeled drone that is that's basically C1 labeled right out of the box. That you will be allowed to fly the drone in the A1 airspace, which means that you can basically fly it in urban areas as long as you don't deliberately planning on flying over people. I'm not allowed to fly over the castle, but at least I can fly closer so you can see it. It's so beautiful here in the morning. So let's just rise it a little bit here. This is normally a very Wi-Fi polluted area where I am. And sometimes you run into problems here, especially with the older drones. I had a hard time sometimes. Basically keeping a solid connection to the drone. So as we normally do when we do these first flight videos, I will make some video footage available for you so you can mess around with this yourself. Let's just give you 10 seconds of 5.1K 30 frames per second here. In that way you can mess around with the footage yourself, and I will also give you some D-lock. And one thing that I just want to show you here is, if I didn't have this color display assistant enabled, you can see everything is really, really gray on the screen, and it's sometimes hard to see what's going on. And that's why they included this color display assistant. If I enable that one, you can see that I can basically see how the footage would look like once it's color graded in post. So I'm just flying a little bit around here, giving you 10 seconds of the D-lock, which is a 10-bit, very high bandwidth video clip. There should be a lot of headroom in that. I think it's around 200 megabit per second that it records in this maximum resolution, so there should be a lot of headroom for you to color grade in post. There's also a HD format, HLG. Let me just record a little bit of that for you. And I will make these clips available as usual on the Tech Drone Media website, and I will throw in a link in the description below. Let's snap a few photos here as well, so you have those. So this is, as it is right now, is a 20 megapixel micro four thirds sensor. So the images will be, they will be 20 megapixel. Just want to make sure that the format here is correct. So it's 4:3, so that's nice. We can underexpose the image here a little bit. And I make sure that you have both the JPEG and the RAW version of the image. Let's just put the castle here nicely in the center, like this. Let's just, for the sake of it, also grab a AEB, where we get one image that's neutral exposure, one that is overexposed, and one that is underexposed. Then you should have everything that is needed to play around with these photos and to study what details is available. There's of course all the other stuff available on the drone that we have come to expect. There's the master shot capabilities. I don't want to spend flight time here on the master shots. There's also the capabilities of doing quick shots. We can do like a circle here by marking the castle like this, and we want it to go in that direction. We want it to go clockwise. So when I just do this, it seems the resolution is now being bumped down to 4K 30. I'm not sure that I'm gonna let it complete the full round here, because then I would basically fly over the area in the harbor, which I am not allowed to. At least that part of the harbor where the ferries are going in and out. Signal strength is still really, really good, despite that I'm on the other side of the castle. I'm not on the other side 100%, I am further away. Just let it go a little bit more here. I think I will stop it now, otherwise the castle will basically block my path here. So, and again, I can use the cruise control as a substitute for this. So let's just throw it into video mode again. And as you can see, there are these options here for video. There's the normal mode, there's the slow motion capability, where you can basically squeeze the drone up to 120 FPS with 4K. Maybe we can do a little test of that so you can get that. And I'll just put it in cruise control. So I fly it manually, point of interest. Then I press the cruise control option. And now I will continue doing whatever I set it out to do. So I just do like 5 seconds of slow motion. That will be really slow when you slow that down. So basically you want a lot more movement in the shot if you really want to get something out of that. But as you saw here as well, there's this night mode. The night mode basically crunches up the ISO, and it messes around with that part. Make sure that you get enough light to some really good footage. But it doesn't make sense to use the night mode during a daylight shooting, because one of the disadvantages is that the sensors are disabled, like you can see here. So you will ram into something if you rely on the sensors protecting the drone, that's for sure. So the night mode is actually limited to 4K 30 FPS. So you just fly this battery down until we get no more. And also, the camera is a micro four thirds like we talked about. And what you actually see here on the other side, it's a bit hard to see, but that's actually Sweden. where the Hasselblad company is located. Do a little bit of video here. So if I go in here under normal mode, make sure that it's bumped up to 5.1K 30 FPS. So you see, so what I was going to say is that, so what you see over there on the other side of the ship is actually Sweden. It's a lot closer than you think here, and I can use the 3x digital zoom that is available here to just take a closer look. So that's kind of funny because this camera in this drone is a Micro Four Third, and it's relying on the Hasselblad color science. And as you probably know, Hasselblad is from Sweden. At least the company was originally from Sweden until DJI bought it. I guess it's still there. So the dynamic range of the camera is around 12.8 stops. So I don't think you will have a hard time preserving the highlights and the bright areas of the image. Especially when you're flying under conditions like these, you will have a lot of stretch, you will have a lot of highlights, as well as a lot of shadows that might be crushed if you don't have sufficient dynamic range in the camera. The drone has full 360-degree obstacle avoidance, means that it has sensor in the front, back, top and bottom, and also on the sides. So that makes it very, very safe to fly the drone, no doubt about that. But of course, you should never rely 100% on these obstacle avoidance. It's much better to avoid the situation. And right now you might notice that there's no maps in the map field here. So maybe we can just put this one in there, and that's because the controller is not connected in any way to a Wi-Fi as it is right now. Let's just try the zooming capability again. I can press this one down so I can basically seamlessly zoom in and out. And it's equivalent, when it's one-time zooms, the optics are equivalent to a 24mm. And if I move it into 72 or 3 times, it's equivalent to a 72mm optics. And again, as I explained earlier, 120 meters is the maximum limit that I can utilize. And also I have focus track capabilities on this drone, so we can just try that out a little bit. I will also release a separate video about that. I've been using my vintage sport car. I've been using that to fly around and test out the focus tracking capabilities. And as you can see, it will not allow me to use focus track as it is in this mode. So what I need to do here is I need to bump down the resolution to 4K 30 FPS, and then we can just spotlight this ferry. So this one is a new one. And as you notice, you can actually see that it's a ship. So look at the icon in the middle of the screen here. It actually shows that it's a ship. And I don't want to, I'm a little afraid that I would fly over the castle, which I shouldn't do. So let's just see if subject lost. Okay, so what we can do here is, the subject is in the sunset here. So we can do active track, and then we can maybe do it from, I don't know, the left side here. Then let's try that, see what happens. It has a little bit of a hard time following the ferry here, so we can just cheat a little bit and zoom in on the ferry. Then we try the same thing again. We want it to go on the left side of the ferry. Press go. No, it will not allow me to do that. But in general, this is the DJI Fly app. So you have to wait to see what the actual performance is of the active track when I'm riding around on my vintage sport car. And I gotta tell you, this was a kind of a thrilling experience. If you notice that the RC signal just dropped shortly, and this is because this area is quite polluted, and I guess it's caused by the harbor over here. Let's just go to that one again. And I gotta say, I simply love this cruise control feature. We had it originally on the DJI Go 4 app, and it was called Course Lock. It was simply so practical because you don't need to activate a flight mode to be able to use that. So you can see one thing that I can do is I can go down here if I want to use the cruise control, and then simply use it as a dolly cam. So maybe I don't want to go that close to this harbor, so I can basically just zoom in like this, and then I can ask the drone to fly sideways. And then I click the C2 button, which I've customized for this purpose. See, then it just continues. So I get this really, really nice, and I can control the gimbal if I want to, during the movement here. I see you can create some really, really nice looking shots with that feature. That's no doubt about that. This is my first Mavic 3, and it's actually the first time I ever flown a Mavic 3 drone class like this, and I'm really, really, really surprised how well it flies. And I'm not saying this only because DJI so kindly provided the sample for me, but I was a big fan of my Mavic 2. And that one was also flying very, very well. But of course, this is maybe 3 years old, the Mavic 2 Pro. So a lot has happened since. So this drone is not only faster, it's also a lot more responsive when you fly it around. And the connectivity between the drone and the controller is really good so far. I haven't seen any issues here with that. This is called the North Harbor. There's a lot of small ships there, private individuals that are having their boats there. Let's just fly a little bit over here. Oh yeah, and I can also use the wheel here to zoom in seamlessly. The scroll wheel here. So this hotel here is called Marienlyst, and there's a casino in there, and there's also some pretty nice apartments where you can stay and look over the water. There's spa, there's everything. So if you get to this part of the country, you should really consider the Marienlyst castle. Not castle, but the hotel. That's a really, 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 really cool place. Our national team, I think, actually stays there sometimes. Our national football team stay there. So now we are getting a little bit far away here. So what I would do now is, so what you just saw here is that I tried to show you a little bit before. If you do this, you do the maximum zoom, and you are turning around like this. You're creating this parallax effect where the objects in the foreground move a lot slower than the ones in the back. That's a pretty cool look. Okay, let's start by bringing the drone back here before we get into problems. So let's go out here. Still a beautiful morning. Normally I would get very, very nervous if I only had this amount of percentage back on the battery. But because the battery is so huge on this drone, there's really no reason to worry. You're just flying very slowly back to the takeoff point, which is somewhere here next to the harbor. Look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. good is that? So let's just park the drone here for a second. Then it's basically saying that I should head back now, so I will do that. If you're new around here, I am Henrik Olsen, and if you found value in this type of content, then consider subscribing to the channel. I will be making a lot of videos about this fantastic drone, and will add all those to a playlist that you can access through this card. You could also, if you liked the video, decide to give it a like. If you didn't like it, feel free to press the dislike button twice. Thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you around.